Hello, welcome back. This is the second part of this chapter, internal control, internal audit and operational audit. First part I have already covered, I have already included, so uploaded. So you might check that from the link given in the description or from my playlist. Now I'm on page number 241. So in that first part I have covered majority of the topics, so it's necessary that you watch that video before watching this video. So now on page number 241, internal audit and caro, last paragraph, as we saw that a certain class of companies has to appoint an internal auditor, and the class of companies we have seen which class of companies has to appoint an internal audit, while here what it explains is on page number 242, first 2 3 lines, it spells out that a statutory auditor has to report on internal control system and internal audit system. So the clauses which are given in the red color, it it focuses on internal control system, while the clause 4th 7th point of caro 2003, it covers the internal audit system. Okay, now the reporting is to be done by a statutory auditor on this internal audit and internal control system. So what this clause says, clause 4 7 point of this caro 2003, what it says, that which class of company has to do the reporting by the statutory auditor. The class of companies are, if it's a listed or any other companies whose paid up share capital and reserve exceeds 50 lakhs at the starting of the financial year. If this criteria is fulfilled, then the statutory auditor has to report on this internal control system as well as internal audit system. Or if the turnover exceeds 5 crores for the period of 3 consecutive financial years prior to the preceding financial year, means this is the year preceding the financial year, the 3 consecutive financial years, if the turnover exceeds 5 crores, then the reporting is must on the internal audit system and internal control system by the statutory auditor. Statutory auditor is the person, is the auditor or the firm of auditor who conducts the audit of final accounts. Okay, now even though the turnover of this present year is nil, but we do not have to check that. We have to check the 3 consecutive financial year prior to preceding financial years. If it exceeds 5 crores or the paid up share capital or the reserves exceeds 50 lakhs at the starting of this financial year, then it's not, and then we have to do the reporting. Now, while calculating the turnover should not include the sales tax or the excise duty amount. The trade discounts must be deducted from the turnover amount. Sales return must be deducted, while it would include commission given to third parties. It's given on page number 244 in the middle of the page. What is the meaning of turnover and all this? The sales tax, excise duty is to be avoided while considering the turnover figure. Trade discounts is to be deducted. Sales return is to be deducted, while the commission given to the third party should not be deducted from the figure of turnover. Now there are internal audit taken place in different sectors. Now we are on page number 246, so we have to see what points should be considered while doing the audit of these different sectors. So in our book many of the sectors are given, so I'll cover one by one. There are many points, sub points in this different topics, so it might become difficult to remember, but I'll give some clue or give some trick to remember those points through which you can easily remember. Now on page number 246, internal audit of hospitals has been given. See, just think of an hospital. Hospital is mostly found under a trust. Okay, so there might be a trust deed, a charter. So when you are appointed as an internal auditor to do the audit of hospitals, what you have to check? You have to check with the trust deed. What's mentioned in that? What are the points mentioned in that? Okay, so if it's a trust, if it's a hospital, is sure that you're going to receive the donations in that hospital, so you have to check with the donations whether it's anonymous donations or whether it's specified, whether there is any government grants given for that hospital. So you have to check, like presently in this situation there are many government grants provided by the COVID hospital, so go to the COVID hospital. So that we have to check whether it's been recorded, whether it's been refunded or not, the accounting and everything is done properly or not. So that comes under this internal audit. See, it's a pretty sure that if it's a hospital, so there might be bills for the of the patients, and the payment might have received on that. There are staffs working serving for the patients, like doctors, nurses, housekeeping, everything. So we have to check with the salary, their remuneration, their terms and conditions. And of course there are machines, ventilators, all other equipment, so inventories and the fixed assets, their depreciation is to be checked. And interest and dividend income is also pretty sure. So these are the few points. So just think that this hospital is trust based. If it's a trust formed, then there might be donation, government grants, bills, payment receipts, staffs, and fixed assets, machines, inventory, stocks, then depreciation. So these points you have to cover. Now same audit of educational institutions which are given on page number 248. Now internal audit of educational institution, the same way as we saw the audit of hospitals, the same way we have to consider that this is a trust, and it has a trust deed, it has the minutes of the meetings and everything. See, if it's a education institution, if it's a school, so there are fees recovered from the students. Okay, so those fees, under this fees there are many sub points which they have given individual points in the book. I'm on page number 248. In fees, we have the fee registers. We have to cross check with the registers whether the fees have been received, whether it's been collected. Some students might pay fees in advance for the whole year, they might pay, or sometimes there are arrears. Okay, so you have to check with that. There are different types of fees like deposits, caution monies, admission fees, and hostel fees. So every fees you have to check. If there are arrears, then there's going to be a fine for that late payments. See, some students might be getting scholarship concession. So these are the sub points. Okay, as we saw, it's a trust based, so they are going to they are going to receive government grants and donations. So now just imagine a educational school in your mind. So you're going to school, you're sitting on the benches, the furniture, blackboard, they are the stationary things, books, everything, library and everything, it comes under the assets. Okay, and the teachers are staff, so the salary, the provident fund, these are all different points given. This government grants and donations are different point. Under this fees, you might think there are only 6 points in this, but no, under this fees we are having 8 points. So these are different points which you have to write. And the staff, salary, provident fund is different point, assets and inventory, stock, you can write different points. So these are all differently provided in the book. Okay, so you may expand this answer, but I have made it precisely. Now last point is 6, rental income. See, the school in which I'm studying, it has auditorium, it has playground and many other property it has. So it owns many properties. So what it does is, after the school hours are done, it gives in rent this auditorium and this playground, it gives in rent to other private persons or other schools or other institutions. So they are going to get the rental income from those. So we have to check whether this educational institutions or schools or anything has such type of hostels or PGs or any such type of properties they are owning or not. So based on that, our audit must be different. Okay, so now audit of hotels. So I'm on page number 247. So while going to hotel, what comes into your mind is the food, the staff serving you. Third point is the room, if you are going to stay there, the room, the furniture, the dining chairs, the tables, the air conditioner, the refrigerator, the cooler, everything you that comes into my mind. So the same is going to come into your mind too. So while doing the audit of hotels, the same points we have to check. The stock for the food which we have, the what we say, the plates, the crockery, cutlery, wine, furnitures, what we have, it's a stock for that hotels. So we have to check when we are going for the audit of such hotels, we have to check whether those are safe or not, whether they are under the proper supervision, whether the keys are with proper people. Stock is to be verified, it could be verified physically, or you can check them, you can ask them, you can keep some record. The second is room rent. See, in a hotel there are different types of rooms for the guest, for the common rooms. We have to check that, and even the rooms are not always the cash basis. Sometimes it's a credit sales. People pay after, while means when they are staying, they are not paying immediately, they are paying at the later time. So room rent we have to check. The fixed assets like the furniture, the air conditioner, the fridge, the equipments and everything. The fixed assets we have to check with the register whether they are there or itself or not. Some hotels might have the facilities of cab and everything, so we have to check whether the vehicles and the equipments and the machines and every furnitures are there or not. We have to cross check, we have to see the depreciation charge on that. See, labor is going to be there because they are going to serve the foods, as well as waiter is going to serve the food. Even there are housekeeping people, the cleaners, so whether the wages are paid as per their terms and conditions or not. Then there are other points which has to be checked is the cash dealings, whether it's properly effectively arranged or not, receipts and payments, and billing, how it's been done. And it's also one more point has been given as the scrutiny of profit percentages, a monthly basis or quarterly basis should be done, whether the profit percentage, how it's, we have to just check the trading account whether it's going normal or not. So these are the hotel audit which we could learn how to do those. Now, audit of a cooperative societies, of a cooperative societies. These cooperative societies are formed under the Cooperative Act 1912. Okay, so there are certain limits that how much members are to be there. 10 members to form this cooperative societies, and what one thing you have to remember is this cooperative societies, why they are formed. Mostly they are formed for the economic interest, like the weaker section or the common poor people, or generally the weaker section of society forms such type of cooperative societies. As they are not able to form a company, they go for cooperative societies, and the main intention is the economic benefits of those members who are involved in the society. Okay, so the economic interest is their main goal. That means they are going to have some debt there. If the debt is going to there, then that means they are going to have overdue interest. There might be some people who are not paying back the money, so it would have bad debts. So just think that cooperative society like weavers association, or cotton industry, small scale industries, they form such type of cooperative societies, or the sugarcane people, factories and everything. If they are not able to form a company, they go for a cooperative societies. Okay, so they might be having some assets and liabilities, and they are formed, as they are formed in the Cooperative Act 1912, so they have to follow the principles and the provisions of those act. So we have to check whether they are complying with those laws, and whether they are adhering with that provisions or not. Okay, then we have to check with the members register, who are the members, and even the special report is to be found. Sometimes this only the higher official committee members of this cooperative societies are benefited. They are only personally benefited. So you have to check whether there is any fraud going on. Sometimes the relatives of the members are being benefited, so we have to check that only the members and their families are to be helped through the societies, not the relatives or the personal people. Personal for profiting must be done. So it's a main thing which we have to check. So the one thing we required in uh, audit of cooperative societies is mostly, just imagine a weavers association, or a small scale industry people who have formed these cooperative societies for the economic benefits. They are not formed a company, but on the other part they have formed a cooperative society. So they are going to have assets, liabilities, they are going to have debts, interest, bad debts, register of their members and everything. So now page number 252, audit of NGOs. We know what are the NGOs. They might have been formed under Societies Registration Act or a Trust Act. Okay, so there are two chances of being formed. NGOs are non-government organizations. So the audit program, we already saw what's an audit program. It's a map, or it's a guide, it's a what we say checklist, whether we have checked with those points or not, whether we have followed the auditing on such topics or not, whether we have checked with those things or not. So it's a audit program. So while preparing the audit program, we must consider these points. So for easy learning, it could be remembered as, see, this left hand side is the liability side, this is an asset side. So we have to check corpus fund of the NGO's reserves, the project agency balances, earmark funds, loans which it has. While on the asset side, I'm on page number 252, you can check the fixed assets, investments, cash in hand, bank balances it has, stock in hand. So this, the audit could be made easily. So by considering this points, sub points. Okay. Now in the same way, the receipts and the expenditures also to be checked. So in the expenses, they have given two expenses, that is program and project expenses which the NGOs has, establishment expenses, the expenses which the NGOs has, like provident fund, life insurances, other charges which the NGOs has, postage expenses. These are all the establishment expenses. So we have to, if we are doing the audit of the NGOs, we have to check with that. Now on the income side, NGOs are going to get the government contribution, grants, receipt, membership fees, subscription, there might be interest and dividend. So the better way to remember is just draw assets and liabilities and just mark the points, so that you can include almost all the points of this audit. Now government expenditure audit. Now I'm on page number 254, last paragraph. So we know who does this, who under whose supervision this government expenditure audit has been done. It's been under the office of CAG. So there are two roles of the CAG. On page number 255, the roles are been given. How the auditing is to be done of this government companies, it's been provided. They direct the manner of auditing. The CAG direct, and the other role is they conduct a test or supplementary audit, a sample audit we can say of any of the government companies they do, and even they comment on the upon the or such type of supplementary or the test audit. Okay, now the government audit, there are few points which you have to check. The points are like the government audit, it should be as per the rules and the orders, the expenditure which it has taken place. We are considering the government expenditure audit. Okay, we are on government expenditure audit. So this expenditure must be as per the rules and the order. It must be as per the sanction. Some amount might be sanctioned, so expenditure should be as per that. Provision of funds means the expenditure should not be more than the funds which has been allocated for that expenditure. Now fourth point is proprietary audit. Proprietary audit means it has a special topic, differently it's been given on page number 255, last paragraph. Proprietary audit means sometimes the government does some expenses, but though it might be as per the law, or it might be as per the, what we say, it might be as per the law, or it might be conformity with the regulations and rules, while some of a common man, we feel that these expenses could have been avoided, or the government expenditure which they have done, it's an improper, or it could have been avoided. We sometimes as a common man we feel. Okay, so this proprietary audit also, it's the audit of such type of expenses. It checks whether this has been done, means it's been more than the demand. Okay, it was not required to be done. So such type of expenses audit is known as proprietary audit. In that, it's checked whether it was for the benefit of a for a particular political party or particular people of government sector. It's checked whether it's there for their own advantages, such expenses were made or not. सो जो भी एक्सपेंस जो ऐसा लगता है कि इसकी ज़रूरत नहीं थी, इसको अवॉइड कर सकते थे, वैसे जो ऑडिट होता है गवर्नमेंट का, उसको कहा जाता है प्रोप्राइटरी ऑडिट. उसमें ऐसा देखा जाता है कि जो कोई ऐसा देखा कि कुछ लोगों को या फिर कुछ सेक्शन या कुछ कम्युनिटी के लिए बेनिफिट हो रहा है, वो देखा जाता है. एंड समटाइम्स this is been as we know, the government expenditures are being done from the public money. Okay, the with taxes which we pay in any of the forms, it's a government income, and through that it does the expenses and it makes the expenses. So sometimes it is okay to conduct such type of expenses when it's okay. अगर बहुत ही लेस अमाउंट ऑफ मनी है, अगर लॉ के हिसाब से हो, या फिर कुछ कस्टम और पॉलिसी को फॉर्म उसको फॉलो करते हुए हो, या फिर अलाउंसेस है. इन दिस 4 times, while following any of the 4 times, this proprietary audit is okay, otherwise it's not. And last is the performance audit. Performance audit yani the audit which we have done, the expenditures which the government has made has brought some good performances, has the incur has yielded certain good results. So it's efficiency come performance audit. The performance has brought some efficient. Now there are three types of government sectors, we can say. There are three types, that is departments है government के, there's the statutory corporations and is the government companies. So departments like defense, mines and many railways also we can consider. So these are the departments it has. And the statutory corporations like life insurance, it has been nationalized and it's under the government, and Air India. So these are the corporations. Now third point is government companies, which have been formed under the Companies Act 2013. Now coming on to page number 241, role of CMS in internal audit. This is the last topic of internal audit. See, so there are certain roles which a cost and management accountant has to follow, has to do in internal audit while conducting this internal audit. So the role is, it has to focus on waste reduction, improvement and productivity. So these are the three main roles. Others are, this could be done by reducing the cost, creating new opportunities, managing the risk. Okay, so what's the role? If we'll see, the role is we have to communicate with the key stakeholders, the key persons. We have to communicate there while doing this audit. We have to use the technologies. We have to support the business process improvements, re-engineering, and we can say lean manufacturing. Everything we have to support those things, those areas, as well as enterprise risk management, supply chain efficiency of utilities must be supported, and we have to even check that whether the companies are complying with the laws and regulations. So these are the main topic points which I have taken from this page number 241. It's a big paragraph, you might check. Now I'm on the last topic, that is operational audit. As the heading suggests of this chapter, there's three topics. I'm on the last topic, that is operational audit. It's also known as value for money audit, not got money audit, value for money audit. Okay, so this you could change this. Okay, this is for money audit. Okay, now in this, what is operational audit? As the name suggests, the operation of means production and services, the audit which has been done, focusing those points. Okay, and the three main objectives of this audit is to improve efficiency and effectiveness, and of financial information reliability has been checked, and later compliance, whether the laws and regulations are being done or not. Three things: operation, as well as financial, as well as legal. These three topics are the objectives of this. So it's majorly focusing on production service departments. How it's been done? By preparing the questionnaire interview of employees. We could prepare a questionnaire, and of employee staff we could do such type of operational audit, and it helps to improve the production. Okay, it helps to improve the production, and the functions of the management could also be improved. Now on page number 245, last paragraph, how it could be done. First of all, how to do this audit is, first of all we have to establish a scope of operational audit. The operational audit scope, that means if I am an operational audit of an organization, the scope would be established, like where, in which areas I could cover. The as examples are, I could check the whether it's complying with the policies, orders. I could check the product. I could check whether there is sales return or not. The staff, whether understaffing, overstaffing, the turnover of the staffs. So the areas where the audit could be done, first of all we have to establish that scope, and the second is we have to understand the auditee's operation, the auditee's history, background. We have to learn about their staff, the competitions, whatever they are having, we have to check with that. So this is how the operational audit could be done. Okay, so here it ends. I have covered almost all the topics. I'll be sharing this notes in my Telegram channel, so you can get there, you can follow there, and hope this chapter has become easy for you to learn and understand. If you are able to understand, you may hit the like button, you may subscribe my channel, and you may share with your friends. Thank you.